Hello, this is Yvonne Gamble, and I'm the co founder of Women Leading Change Now. And we're here again with the UN, the United Nations Conference on the Status of Women. This is our 65th year convening, and we have some special guests that we're bringing to you. And today I'm going to bring on a guest. She is just such a delight, and she's out of New York City in the United States of America, and she's going to be talking to you about what she's done. She's been doing this for the past 12 years. So we're going to bring on Rhea Wilkie and let her tell you all the things that she does. She's such an exciting woman. She's even a talk show host. So we're going to bring up Rhea and see just what she's doing. Well, hello there, and how are you today?
Hello, Sunshine. What an honor to be with you, and thank you so much for having me.
Okay, well, thank you so much. So can you just tell the ladies, we're here based out of, well, UN, the United Nations for the United States is actually based out of New York, but we're broadcasting around the world. So can you kind of just give us a few minutes on who is Rhea?
Oh, a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out. Well, actually, I feel like I am a change maker in a sense of try to do that in my own life. From the day I come from somewhere else, like a lot of American immigrants who came to the U.S. and decided to make America their home. So I went to college here in the U.S. in Madison, Wisconsin. I have a master's degree in business administration and management. And I come from a corporate background, and in 2008, I decided to branch out of corporate and do my own venture and start my own company, Your Life Now. A lot of people ask me, why is it called Your Life Now? I guess from day one, I've always felt like everything happens right now. When we think about something, we think about it right now. About it right now. So what a better way to actually define what I do than your life now, this moment, and we'll see what are you doing personally and professionally. So that's where I started. So I, like I mentioned, I come from a corporate background, and when I started working in corporate America, I was a young graduate. My first job out of college was working for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I was recruited to work for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. And it was an honor to work. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And then I continued to do what I do best. You had a question?
Okay. All right, wonderful. Well, that's very interesting. Coming, straight out of college and then going with the U.S. Department of Commerce, the Chamber, and it's I'm pretty sure that was a big jump for you. So, how is it that you made it into the industry you're in now? You have that. Your life now. What made the switch? What made you come out of corporate and go into your own?
Well, I actually had no choice in the end get out of corporate because I got laid off when my last corporate job was working for MCI Telecom. A lot of people probably don't even know who MCI back in the early 2000. And I was a sales manager. I left AT&T actually by choice to go work for MCI because they recruit me to become their new small business, merchant business sector that they were trying to cover that they did not have in place. So we were actually, if I should have brought that, where is it? I have I took it down. I didn't even think about it. I had an award from MCI that we were number 5 in the whole country as far as our achievement as a team. So I built a really successful team, always been in sales, like I said. Started in sales, and I still do sales. I think we all sell. People don't realize whatever profession you are in, you are selling. So whether you're selling information or you're selling services or whatever it is you are selling. And so I realized when I left MCI, or when I got laid off from MCI, I really wanted to do something that resonate with me. And what resonate with me is actually to help other businesses, especially small to medium-sized businesses where my expertise was when I left corporate, is to be better, to be more successful. And I have to mention, one of my first client ever was an attorney who I am so proud of him. He has like 3 different location firm right now. When I helped him start his business, because he left corporate and he got laid off actually, and I helped him, start his own firm. It was huge success. So I felt like it's, when you have a passion and what you do is just really kind of who you are as a person, which is be of service. So I did that before. I do that myself. And especially, I figure when I started my own business and my own company, I can set my own rules, because working in corporate, I know we didn't get into that yet, but working in corporate as a young person, I found myself faced with a lot of discrimination. I always had to prove myself. I was working primarily in the men industry. So, but there was a lot of surprises after that. So, if you want me to elaborate on that, I could, but I don't know if you have any other question on that.
So can you tell me, so you decide to go into coaching. How is it that you are able to find your clients? How did you find your niche? Do you coach, like a certain level, executives, who have been, lost their jobs? Do you have a certain niche, or do you coach, a certain area? How did you define that, or how do you define that?
Well, primarily it's into the leadership development. And since my background and my schooling was into business management, so it sort of goes hand in hand. I was training in corporate. I used to train my team, for sales, so they can go out there and get business, and then entertaining, existing business and upsell existing business. So it was no brainer for me to actually take that skills that I had and then start to do my own thing. However, it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's education. So I continue my education. I still continue my education. I always feel I'm better when I know more. When I know more, I can teach you more. So I try to apply things in my own life, in my own business, before I teach it. So, it goes hand in hand, but it's a continued work. It's a continuous work, continuous, thinking outside the box. And it's amazing when you stop thinking, when you take things out of your mind, and you'd be surprised how much you can accomplish. And so that's my attitude. It's like you gotta keep doing it, and you gotta fail before you can win and before you can succeed. So I've known before, but it's true.
Well, that's something, ladies and gentlemen, you can take as a quote from Rhea Wilke, and that is, quote, "When you take things out of your mind, that's when you begin to succeed." That's when you can really see it.
Basically, take your actually, I have to, because I wrote it down. It's because it's not taking.
Okay, that's good. Let's have it.
Think about things, but when you get out of your mind, that's what I meant. When you get out of your mind, you'll be surprised how much you can accomplish. Because it is so easy for us to fall into that gap where we think, oh my God, but I can't do this. Oh my God, what about this? Oh no, this, because we constantly overthinking things. So when we take ourselves out of that, we realize, oh my God, like I surprise myself every day. I actually have a little things that reminds me all the time. A little painting that says "surprise yourself," because you have to. Because you'd be surprised what you can do. And I'm a big believer of that because I'm sitting here talking with you.
So you are a total believer in what we can surprise ourselves with. I know that I know the drill.
Yeah.
So tell me, going into coaching, I wouldn't even know where to begin. How do you how easy is, or how do you even get access to go into coaching? What, you just put up an ad and say I'm a coach, and people say, okay, coach me? I mean, how does I guess my question is, and even for some of the people out there,
Right.
and that is, how do they know they need a coach?
Well, we all need a coach. I was coached, so I can tell you that we all need a coach. And getting into the coaching, like I mentioned earlier, you have to have a credentials, right? And your credential comes from your background, your learning. When I was in corporate, I was using, like, for instance, AT&T, so I can walk in the door with AT&T name, right? But people will still buy from me personally. So even though I walked through the door to speak with a highly, executive at AT&T, at a corporate, and try to sell them some of the services that we were doing, at AT&T for data. I was basically selling data at that time. You still have to build the trust. You have to create the relationship that, it's all about the needs, right? So when we figured out, this is sales 101, right? In order for me to sell you this fan that I'm like really sweating right now, I don't know why. You have to, I need this fan because I'm sweating, right? Otherwise, why would I sell you? If you're not sweating, why would you need this fan? You will need it,
Gotcha.
right? So I think the first thing is, first of all, having your credentials, having your study, having your background, your skills. Nobody's going to hire you. My first client, when I started my company in 2008, he actually did a recommendation, even did a forward on my book. It was an attorney, and he was a very well-known attorney working for a large corporate. And he found me. Why did he find me? Because he was looking for specific information, and I put those specific information out. So yes, we live in 2008, that's 12 years ago. So we were not as savvy in technology as we were 12 years ago, right? So now it's a lot easier because, with a click of a button, you can just put your stuff out there. You can keep talking to your clients, to your potential customers, your potential clients, and then tell them why they should hire you, because you need to build that trust. That's the most important thing. And as far as the coaching, there's so many different aspects in my coaching. I do, because I'm also trained and certified as an NLP practitioner. Are you familiar with that?
You said an NLP?
NLP, yes. NLP.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. We use that, practice those tools in sales, and it was very, because you have to understand, it's about emotional intelligence. That's another thing that I'm huge in implementing in my coaching. Understanding the other side, understanding where they come from, what is it they need it and why they need it. Because if coaching is selling service. So unless you know what your client needs, which is the fact finding, it's hard to get those clients to work.
Okay, it's hard for you to actually get them to say, yes, there you go. Yes, I want to buy that fan because that looks real nice.
I bought this from Italy in 2019 before the pandemic.
Oh, let's see it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You see
that is beautiful.
St. Pete, yeah. And what an amazing place, by the way. Yeah, so.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I want you to talk a little bit about your show. that you have and that you do, because I'm very certain that we have a lot of people out there who'd be interested in coming on your show. So
Well,
what can you tell us about it?
Well, yes, that's. Thank you for bringing that up, because 2010, 2011, almost 10 years now. A few days, about a week shy from 10 years when I started my internet radio show that is available on so many different platforms, from iTunes podcast, Spotify, to iHeart, to Stitcher app, to just basically go into our website, and you can listen to any of our episodes that we have on there. When I started the show, I know that I had a voice. Uh, it was difficult because I always, like, even was in a corporate. I said, when my manager earlier on used to tell me, he's like, oh, just make phone calls, make sales phone calls. I'm like, no, just put me in front of someone, because when you put me in front of someone, I can guarantee you I can get the sale. But I was so paranoid about people listening to me, because I was like, oh, my accent, I wasn't sure they're gonna hear me. And then an inspiration came into me. It's like, you have a voice, you have things to share, you want the world to know who you are, and here you are. So when I started my show, I had no idea what I was doing. I played with it, and 10 years later, I'm still here. And I can tell you, 2011, I went to the Emmy because of my show.
Wonderful.
I wasn't awarded, but I said next time I go, I have to be receiving an award, because my show really brought up so much, and I'm so grateful for that.
That is wonderful. So what are you offering to what are you offering here at the UNCSW?
Well, I would love to have someone special to be featured on the Your Life Now show with Coach Ria, myself, and also the same guests will receive 30-second ad promo. And that ad promo, it would be an audio, a promo for them to use on their website, to use as an advertisement to wherever they want. And obviously, we would have to be communicated to know exactly what kind of things that they want to promote. But that's the offer from the radio show. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. And then now I see that you do business evaluations as well. So
Well,
what does that entail? You sitting down for 45 minutes and you can evaluate a business?
Well, I mean, it would be a start. So of course, that's why I said I was going to do 30 minutes, but I said the 30 minutes, you're really not going to be able to find so much about someone or their business. So I'm offering 45 minutes, a free of charge evaluation, basically just going through some proven method that I do with questions that, basically I would ask them in the evaluation, and they would answer it. And based on that evaluation, they can basically, when they leave the evaluation, they're going to know more about their business that they did before they entered the evaluation. And then, of course, if they decide to work with me, I would love that, but it's free of charge, and it's $250 value.
Okay, excellent. All righty. And we would be remiss here if we did not talk about, women's equality, because that's a big issue that, kind of exists around the world. Some of the countries, have kind of moved away from that. Some people, the different industries that they're in, I see, a lot of women are moving into industries that literally they're creating the whole entire industry themselves. And so therefore, equality doesn't, really go in. But in the coaching industry, when you think of coaches, you think of men, although women seem to be more wired, to be a coach because they're better listeners. So how does women's equality fit into the industry of coaching?
Well, I can tell you this was really interesting, and thank you for asking that question, because when I was in corporate, and that's why I said when I started my business, I said, oh, this will be great because I can set my own rules. I won't be discriminated against. I won't be, bypassed, giving it to somebody else, because then I could choose and pick and choose. Then I was surprised to see actually that is not truly the fact. Because of my background, and because I stayed in my background, working with executive, most of the executive I worked with actually were men. And to my surprising, first of all, the labeling, because my company called Your Life Now, they were looking at me as a life coach. And with all due respect to all life coaches, I have so many certification and so much my background, my background, my skills and my knowledge is not just like I will listen to you. Because first of all, a life coach is not a therapist. And yes, you are so true. Women actually listen more than men do. And so I remember also one of my first client who his father actually saw, I have can I bring that up? I'm going to mute my camera.
Yes.
I want to show you something.
Okay. Love to see it. All righty. We're going to take, Rhea is pulling something up and she's going to show it to us so we can see. Oh, okay, so there she is. We're going to bring her up closer so we can get it close in. Okay, we got a full, oh my goodness, Courier News. Okay. Life coach helps clients find what they seek. I like that.
This was actually published 2010. That's my first one. I mean, I have other ones, but this is the one I actually did spend the money to frame because I'm so proud. And that publication brought me a lot of business. It really did. And so one of my other, clients that I took on after the attorney that I mentioned, the attorney was my first client. When this was published, the attorney was 2008. This was 2010. In 2010, I got reached by a company, and they were about 80 employees. The father wanted to give the company to his son. And he said, I saw your article, I read your article, and I want you to help my son get ready to take on the company. And I said, will your son be open to working with a woman? Because of their industry, the type of industry, there's no need to mention. But because of, it's like heavily men working with men and, things like nature, I said, well, just let him just set the appointment and I can guarantee you we will work together. And we literally just dissolved our partnership a few months ago. 10 years almost. We've been working together.
Wow.
And it started as working with him, preparing him, finding out the obstacles and what's going on and how we can get him to move forward with, preparing to take off the company. And now he's the owner, president, and I've helped him with his team. I helped him managing, his team, working with him directly with him as an executive coach. And but when it came to upselling, I always felt like I had to work harder. And that's what I'm talking about, equality in my industry. And this is what I do every time I wanted to upsell, my client, because you have to realize you always have to. I come from that industry. You upsell, you need to upsell. You don't just stay where you are. Otherwise you just plateau. So when I started, upselling, not only this one client, other client, especially men, I felt I was passed by to other people who they thought may be more qualified to do the job that they want them to do. So it was really disappointing for me because I've especially people that you worked with for so long, they know you, they know what you about. So it does exist. It's just crazy how much we feel like even 2021, we still have that inequality. I mean, it's just like, you try hard, you prove yourself, you constantly proving yourself, you constantly working at it, and you constantly wanted to put it out and just say, hey, listen, give me a try. Give me a try and see how that works. But you can't offer things for free, especially when you're working with clients and you try to upsell them. You're going to say, I'm not going to do something that is going to cost me, like I would charge $300 for it and I'm going to give it to you for free. That will be not a smart thing. That's not how you run your business. And even I taught him that, because he had issues with some of his employees where they were taking advantage of the company. And I was trying to teach him how to make a stop for some of the things that they were doing. So yes, it does exist, even in my industry. So,
but it's the beauty of what I'm seeing and what I see with you, Rhea. The beauty I see in that is that although it does exist, it does not stop you.
No,
you go forward, and you basically let that use you as that something that helps to propel you even further along the route, and that's the beauty of it, and I like to see that.
You definitely have to start again, and that's how I feel. I've lost the pandemic. It really not only hit, small businesses, it hit, owned companies and businesses like myself, because the businesses that I work with, they had to cut down and they couldn't have some of the employees and pay some of the employees. So their needs started to diminish as far as I'm concerned, as far as like them, paying me for some of the services. So I definitely felt it, because the income that was coming in from one area is constantly disappearing. So you're constantly working at it and you're trying to refurbish. But sometimes you think like, well, I am at the point that I feel like it should be like just plug and play. I've done this for so long and I know how to do it, but it's continue working at it. And that's how I feel.
Okay. So it sounds like it's like a work in progress. What can you tell? What can you say? What encouragement would you give as a closing, to some of our audience, our listening audience that's out there, just to encourage them in the industry of coaching?
Well, going back to the basics. Basically, so what you do, this is what the evaluation I mentioned in the giveaway evaluation. Basically, you have to list everything that you currently have, all your skills, all your expertise, all the business that you have, and what is your goal, for yourself, right? So where do you see yourself, whatever, like in a couple months, right? So hopefully we get out of this pandemic, and things gonna sort of, I don't want to say normal, because normal is different for different people. But when you evaluate what you have, and what I find myself to actually be more beneficial at this time is learning, teaching yourself, right? So you just say, okay, so what do I need? Like, I'm really not a video kind of person. I have a hard time with it. That's why I've been doing the audio for a long time. Because I'm self-conscious about it. Like, okay, so I have to focus on how I look, or versus I want to focus on how I, sound, or what people want to hear, or, making people listen to you instead of being distracted with me like sweating right now. So, So, and actually I was taught by some of the experts to actually do everything audio, because they said you give the people opportunity to listen to you. Versus, obviously when you're in front of someone, you're dealing with emotional intelligence, you're dealing with different things. But my giveaway to anyone who wants to try this is take a look at where you are. Take a look at what you have, and where can you go from there? What can you do better to better yourself? Because when you better yourself, you are better at what you do. That's it.
Okay. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And thank you. I appreciate you for taking time out of your busy day and your busy schedule to talk about us on, the Women's Voices from Within, because sometimes those are the ones we need to hear. It's those little voices, those little things that light on the dashboard. Thank you again. And we look forward to your show and supporting that show. And actually, you basically, if you want to get in touch with Rhea, you want to get in touch with her at www.yourlifenow.info. She has some great opportunities for you. She has some great gifts for you. So go on to her speaker page and most certainly take advantage of all those things that she has to offer. Thank you again.
Just one thing, Yvonne, if I may.
Yes.
So when people go to the website and they want to take advantage of the giveaway, make sure when you go to the contact page and you fill your information that you say where you heard about it. So we want to make sure that people know that they heard about this at the WLCN. And then I look forward to have you on my show, Yvonne.
Okay, I look forward to coming on your show. I definitely do.
Absolutely. Thank you again so much. It was an honor.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.